So that's, the primary goal is for everybody to want to be engaged and motivated and participate, right? But to help do that, we've come up with a number of different ways to do that in racing formats and points formats and things like that. So the goal is for each person that shows up Sunday, especially if they're part of a team that we've picked for that series, is to feel like they are participating in contributing to their team in a way that makes a lot of impact. So that's from the A+ riders who show up and just crush everybody, to the guys who are, the back of what would normally be a C Zwift racer. We really try to find kind of formats and point structures and the way we put things together to make everybody's ride count for points for their team. So kind of everybody's got something to ride and fight for.
From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I am your host, Trevor, and listen, I realize it's finally spring. I realize the gravel season just had a super strong and exciting start with Mid-South Gravel a couple weeks ago. And I realize there are plenty of upcoming races we could talk about right now, but I don't really care. I want to talk about Zwift. On this episode, Brad Hochstetler, the brains behind the DIRTy Mitten Racing League, joins the podcast to talk about one of the most interesting racing leagues I've ever heard of, and luckily been a little bit of a part of. What started as a way to ride and race with his buddies during the pandemic. The DIRTy Mitten Racing League now has grown to dozens of participants and features super interesting stages like time trials, Omnium-inspired stages, forced bike rules depending on your Zwift rating, and elimination races. It's no secret, I'm a fan of indoor training and especially Zwift, and if you are not, I get it. But I encourage you to give this conversation a listen regardless, because ultimately it's not about Zwift. It's about a few people trying to find creative and fun ways to motivate themselves and others, and the community that can form around that. So maybe next week we'll talk about gravel, maybe not. But for now, the DIRTy Mitten Racing League with Brad Hochstetler. Now we're live.
All right, Trevor. Thanks, man.
I was thinking, I'm glad we got Zoom to work, but maybe we should have just done this completely on Discord so people get a real flavor of what it's like to be doing the, with the subpar audio and
right. Yeah, that's how we did. That's how we did several of the team drafts when the captains would sit around just on the Discord.
Is it like a Friday night and everyone's having a beer at their house or something, and you're picking athletes or whatever, or team members?
Yeah, pretty much everybody's got the spreadsheet open in one window, and then we're on Discord in the other window. And usually it's Al McWilliams is like half frozen most of the time.
Well, I don't promise that might not happen right now. Like,
Sure.
It seems like it. I don't know. The internet always seems to go haywire, especially when we're trying to do video and everything. But if that happens, we'll push through and figure it all out. But
right on.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I feel like maybe I'm in a small group of people that is still excited talk about Zwift, especially,
Right.
especially it is the first day of spring right now. So
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know of many people that are talking about Zwift, but I just got reached out. Someone reached out from the, I'm on one of the ZRL, the Zwift Racing League
Yeah.
teams. And someone reached out and was like, "Hey, are you gonna ride tomorrow?" And I'm like, sure. Like maybe I will if they need me. Are you a part of the Zwift Racing League? Have you ever done anything like that?
Yeah, I did several seasons of that, including the first one when they first started it. There wasn't even actually, I think there was just like a 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then there was a 10 p.m. and 7 p.m. was never going to work for me, or maybe it was 6:30. So Carl Copenhagen and I rode like the very first ZRL on the 10 p.m. Eastern time
Oh my god!
window. It was fun. It was fun for like 2 weeks, and that was it. But yeah, I've done ZRL several seasons. And just kind of my schedule at work changed, so the Tuesdays don't work for me anymore.
Yeah, and I find that the 7:30 or the 7 o'clock ish time slot in the winter, that's a killer. It feels like it's 10:30 already
Right.
by that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And now like it is nuts how many time slots there are. There's
Yeah.
I mean you can ride with people in it'll be afternoon for them in like the UK, and you can ride on a team or
Yeah.
something. It's just so nuts how many teams there are. I mean, nuts in a great way. I mean, there's so many options for racing, and then to see everyone, doing the same courses and the same, I don't know. It's such a cool thing.
Yeah.
Man, I like, and this is, I'm jumping all over the place. I like your hat.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
keeping
Thanks.
the sponsor correct, I guess.
Cody Sovis and their Colo had this up in the store for a while, so I've got a couple of them.
Yeah. So the hat says DIRTy. It's the DIRTy
Dirty
Mitten logo.
Racing League. Yeah,
DIRTy
exactly.
Mitten Racing League. Yeah, it's very, very nice. Well, cool, Brad. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. And, just talking about ZRL or Zwift Racing League, the racing league that you help put on or organize. I know are there a couple people involved in it besides yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're kind of like the motor behind it, or you're doing a lot of the legwork, at least the last couple of years that I've been involved in it.
Yeah, I definitely kind of have. I was kind of the one that started it all, and for better or worse, because of my personality, I like to do things myself to make sure they get done mostly the right way. But no, my buddy and neighbor here in Traverse City, Carl Copenhagen, was kind of one of the original guys that helped me start it too, and just kind of for ideas and organization and getting people on board. And then Cody Sovis, I don't know if you know Cody
Yep.
personally or not. Yeah, so once he kind of got interested and involved, he had a lot of connections in the cycling community locally and kind of across the state that kind of allowed it to expand a little bit more than to where we are now. So they do a lot of work behind the scenes too, to kind of keep ideas fresh, keep everybody on board, and keep the pages turning.
And I think to kind of introduce it, or the league or whatever, I mean, we were talking about Zwift Racing League, which is like
Right.
a international, worldwide racing league on Zwift that probably has thousands of teams. And in contrast, the DIRTy Mitten Racing League is a group of, I don't know how many members right now. I mean, actually, it's a pretty good amount of people involved, but it's kind of located around the Michigan area, and I think it's the local version of what the Zwift Racing League could be or is.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. That's kind of been always our vision of what it should be, is just keep it a little bit more local flavor to specifically Michigan. I mean, it's heavily northern Michigan, at least to start with. Then a couple of kind of honorary members from other states as needed. But yeah, that was kind of the idea, was what Zwift Racing League is doing on a pretty grand scale internationally. Just get a little more personal feel to it, with a little more kind of crowdsourcing and individual attention from us.
Yeah. So take me back then. I mean, you're talking about you and Carl Copenhaver talking about starting this all and getting other people involved. Take me back to then. What year was it? How long has this been around? And when you originally launched it, how many Zwift racers were involved in it?
Yeah. So it really kind of like a lot of things that are currently very valuable and well attended in the public. It kind of came out of the pandemic. So we have a really good cycling scene up here from about April until, Iceman. And then like everybody is like vanishing into their caves, like to hibernate for the winter, either on, their individual trainers or in classes or whatever. And then once Zwift came along, it kind of opened that up a little bit, but it was really kind of during the kind of March of the pandemic. We wanted to try to get away for the guys of us that would normally start riding outside together to ride together. So this was right around the time Zwift opened up, kind of, you could do meetups. So you could invite people to meet you up on a course. And so that's really how it started. And there were, I think, maybe 10 or 12 of us that very first time. And it was just, we rode for a while and then decided to race to the end of the course. And, kind of grew from there with the ideas of, how we could make it work into some racing format. I mean, it helped that Zwift timed out, getting racing results through the meetups. And then I had been connected with the DIRT kind of group on Zwift, Dad's Inside Riding Trainers, kind of from the very beginning. But we were able to kind of get on their coattails and use a lot of the organizational tools within Zwift itself to start setting up real events that had, real results and a real race kind of start and feel to it. But it started out as like 10 or 12 of us, seriously, in a meetup during the pandemic. We did that for March, April, and May, and then we were kind of outside some more. Then that following winter, so the winter of 2020, Cody Sovis had gotten interested and kind of connected a lot more people with us kind of through the Strava Club and Discord, and kind of grew from there. And fortunately, Zwift has kind of made more tools available as we've gone along, and we've made more connections with people that can help us get the racing the way that we want to have for the group that we've got.
Yeah, and like, do you know how many members you have now? I know it like fluctuates between people's schedules, but I mean, it's got to be. I don't know. Tell me. I mean, is there 100, over 100?
Yeah, I think the Strava Club currently has like I think maybe 210 the last time I looked.
Okay.
And obviously those are a lot of people who are, Zwift curious or Mitten curious or whatever. So they haven't all showed up to race, but I think at some point we pulled together some spreadsheets. We'd had well over 100 different people had raced as part of the DIRTy Mitten kind of racing series at some point.
Yeah.
And then, there's probably, like anything, there's going to be a pretty core group that's always there all the time, kind of fluctuates around that. Same thing with the Discord group. And so I've been real fortunate and happy with the type of people that have shown up there. They're just, everybody wants to have fun, have a fair race, and have a beer later that night.
Yeah. I mean, there is, because I kind of pop in and out. I would not even look at myself as someone that's there often. I kind of just, when timing permits or when it's the Zwift season, quote unquote,
right,
I'll try to pop in when I can, and it's always the same dudes that are there, and just you see the same names and the same guys just crushing it every weekend. So as cool as starting a racing league is, I don't think that in itself is that exciting. And the reason that I get excited when I think about the DIRTy Mitten Racing League is the creativity behind it, and how much a racing league is cool, and getting people involved is cool. I think that community, that's something else we can talk about. But it's like that kind of virtual community that has been built in that is pretty special, and the Discord chats are hilarious. I mean, you can't even keep up with them.
Right.
But so there's that side of the thing, but then there's just the pure creativity of the racing, and I think we need to highlight that and contrast that to 99.9% of the rest of virtual racing, which includes Zwift. So like if I will do a race on the Zwift Racing League, or if not even on a league, if I would just sign in and decide to race, most of the races are categorized by your Zwift category. So like how many watts per kilogram you can hold, and Zwift knows that because you've ridden Zwift before and all that kind of stuff. And then they're usually just courses, and it's a start to finish kind of race. There might be sprint points, but there's not a lot of creativity. I mean, that's basically it. Unless, I mean, there's probably some other racing going on, but the majority of it, would you not say that's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, 90% for sure out there in Zwift is just going to be stock, blast out of the gate, right to the finish, and hope that everybody signed up for the right category.
When you think about the racing experiences that are coming out of your brain that you're kind of creating, what are you shooting for? It's because it's not that, it's something different.
Right.
So like,
right.
what are you trying to accomplish with a Sunday morning, month-long racing series for your friends in Michigan?
So that's, the primary goal is for everybody to want to be engaged and motivated and participate. Right. But to help do that, we've come up with a number of different ways to do that in racing formats and points formats and things like that. So the goal is for each person that shows up Sunday, especially if they're part of a team that we've picked for that series, is to feel like they are participating in contributing to their team in a way that makes a lot of impact. So that's from the A+ riders who show up and just crush everybody, to the guys who are, the back of what would normally be a C Zwift racer. We really try to find kind of formats and point structures and the way we put things together to make everybody's ride count for points for their team. So kind of everybody's got something to ride and fight for. Because, I mean, if I show up in a regular, Zwift B category race, especially if I don't have a team and I'm out the back in that last, 10% of riders, like kind of like, what am I riding for? But we're trying to make an experience where everybody's contributing to, keep you motivated through the whole race so that you contribute to your team, and then kind of see how that works out for everybody across the board.
Yeah. And let me just, like, to clarify, like a team that I would ride on the DIRTy Mitten Racing League would be a mixture of levels, I guess,
yes.
of the A pluses that are, like you said, they're just going to crush everyone, and then going all the way down to C riders, and they all participate together. And I like how you said contribute. Like every single rider on every single level has a different way of contributing to the point structure that you have created. And you're racing against all of these different levels together. You're not just put in a pen of your own A riders or B riders or C. It's you're kind of mixing them up. Talk to me about how you're doing. How are some creative ways that you are making everyone contribute, or helping everyone contribute?
So one of the ways we did it is this season we started using the Zwift racing or Zwift ranking app kind of number value that they're assigning to everybody, which has been a pretty good way to really tell where a rider is. So we then kind of artificially split the pens where people are supposed to sign up based on that Zwift ranking. So you're going to be racing guys that are hopefully similar to your abilities. And then so like the C pen as they finish their race and score against each other in the finish and then different segments, their points are worth just as much as the top A racers to be contributing to their team. So trying to set that equally for both pens and each kind of level of rider. And then with everybody riding together, so even though you're coming out of the A or the C pen, all the riders are together. That allows kind of the weaker riders like me out of the A pen. One of my jobs was to help the stronger C riders because we're all in the same race together, right? So we can kind of have some team tactics and just get everybody working together, feeling like they're contributing to the ride of their teammate and contributing to the team overall. And so that also we were able to set that up by creating a different point structure kind of for each race, which some people kind of like and most people really like.
And then what about the forced bike choices?
Yeah.
And we're talking about Zwift. We're already into the weeds, but now we're getting really into the weeds about
right.
bike choices and courses in Zwift. So it's like you either have like a climbing bike because it's a very climby course, or there's some cobbles or dirt. So you want like a mountain bike or something, or it's a really smooth thing. So if you have a mountain bike, that's to a disadvantage. So tell everyone how like you're creatively coming up with bike choices to have people racing against each other and like kind of evening the playing field a little bit.
Yeah. So that was actually a great idea by, I think, Chris Osberg. That was his idea. So a lot of these ideas come from the members who are like, hey, let's try this to see if we can make things more interesting or more even. So we've had a handful of races, a handful of stages now during the races where based on your ranking, you will be forced onto a different bike. So the strongest riders will be forced onto the Zwift mountain bike, which has the highest rolling resistance in the game. So they've got to work a lot harder to go the same speed as the C riders who are on the Zwift road bikes on the same course. So it was really amazing how well that leveled the field. So there were 3 different forced bikes: the mountain bike, the gravel bike, and the road bike. And so depending on your categorization, you were forced onto that bike when you started the race. And I don't think we've ever had so many kind of big bunch sprint finishes or groups stay together throughout races during those races. So in that case, you can have a C rider on a road bike actually win the entire race. And so they're in that stage contributing the most points to their team, even though their stronger A rider, was finished farther back than they did. So it kind of even the field for some of those stages.
Yeah, I participated in a couple of those races, and they're a blast. They're so much fun. And it's, because there truly is, like, it's just a huge mixture of a bunch of different people in there. And then another one of my favorite elements of, say, a month-long racing season, I guess, or is that there's usually a week of the Omnium, and will you kind of explain just what the heck that is?
So I think this was an idea that Carl and I came up with over a couple of beers, probably a couple of years ago. And I think the first one we did, we set up with a bunch of meetups, and it was kind of a disaster. So the traditional Omnium on the track consists of whatever it is, like 3 separate types of events or 3 disciplines that then get added together to give the rider their score. So we've kind of took a variation on that every season or every tour. And so there'll be one day where there are 3 or 4 different events that every rider participates in. And they've ranged everywhere from just a really short individual time trial that everybody does to most recently, we did this elimination bracket.
Yeah.
Which, at least based on the survey from this season, that was the most popular one. But we've done like blind matchmaking where your captain like signs up their 5 riders for this course and they don't know who they're going to be racing. So the points will shake out however they do. We've done team time trials or we've done 2-man team pursuits where there's just 2 riders against 2 riders in each event. I'm trying to think what else, but we're constantly trying to come up with new ideas. We did a Madison where we were in Crit City, which is a really short course, and you just raced for like 20 minutes and you got points based on the number of laps you completed. So
Yeah, I think
Just trying to.
that's what's the fun of it is, I don't know, like a typical Zwift race may last half an hour to an hour, or half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. And on these Omnium days, it's like 3 races back to back, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
They're all like dynamic and different styles of races. You could have, like you said, like a crit city where it's just like fast and everyone all out, and then just a stage that it's like 5 miles of just straight climbing.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and even when you said the elimination one, and I want you to explain that a little bit more too, but even within the elimination there were different types of courses and different types of racing and different so it's bizarre. I don't think I've ever, like, you go all out for it's always under 20 minutes, because I always want I always want to see that 20-minute power number.
Right.
And it's always under 20 minutes.
Well, I think we learned that the first time we did it. Like there were a bunch of dudes that like upgraded after that, because they would do like, because we had set them like just a little over 20 minutes, so just their flat out 20-minute power. And like Zwift or Zwift Power upgraded them after that one event, and they're like, "Oh no, let's keep them under 20 minutes now."
But yeah, it is bizarre. It's like, you're all out for like, I don't know, 15 minutes, and then you kind of spin for 7 minutes until the next one starts, and then you're at it again. It's something else. Talk about the elimination. I'll try to, maybe I'll include that picture somehow of what the elimination, the sketch like on the back of a napkin that you
You've like seen the other stuff we put out. That's like the most rudimentary graphic I think I've ever made. So yeah, the elimination. So for, again, anybody that's not on Zwift but maybe has done other racing platforms, some other racing platforms have an elimination excuse me, an elimination format that you can choose within their game, like RGT. Zwift does not have that currently, and even though they ran that in the World Championships this year, everybody thinks they were just kind of dropping people off behind the scenes out of the mainframe or something. So we wanted to try something like that, and basically we set it up as 4. I think it was 4, or was it 3? 4 consecutive.
It was 4.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
Okay, I was actually out of town that week, so I only watched it. I fan viewed the race. So it was 4 consecutive events scheduled about each 20 minutes apart. Each one was going to last about anywhere from 12 to 13 minutes. And each one was on a different course, so it would kind of select different riders each time. And everybody started with, like 35 people started in one pen. Top half that finished, they registered for the next race in the A pen. Bottom half registered in the B pen. Kind of split each way from there. So you ended up with 4 races in the last round, like the top 4 guys, and then some dudes in the middle, and the bottom 4 guys, and kind of variable points based on each of those pens at the end.
And each pen at the end, I mean, I think each, first place in each of those pens still gave the team a lot of points, right? Or
yeah.
Was it equal? Was it equal at the end?
No, it was equal. It wasn't equal, because we still wanted, like the top 4 dudes that got through. It was kind of one of those days where they were going to score the most points, but the people that finished at the end didn't score as little points as they would have, in a traditional race. So there was still a lot to fight for there.
Sure. I was trying to figure out if some people kind of played it easy early, so they were put in like a lower pen, and then they could just dominate.
I saw some comments about that in some of the Discord chat about like, well, if you sandbag the first race, then you can kind of save your legs and work your way back to the top pen after that.
Yeah.
But that's the part of the game, is trying to figure out how you're gonna race and have fun.
And I think that is what is. I mean, like the creativity of it just gets me excited, and it's just completely different than. I mean, there's a time and place for just a normal, sufferfest that you just go onto a race and just smash for as long as you possibly can and hurt. But then I don't know, it's like, it's definitely bringing the fun element into it. And hopefully like getting the most people, participating and enjoying it as well. You
Yeah.
you corrected me because I was calling it like a season, but it's not a season.
Oh,
It's a tour, and I know that because speaking of creativity, there's always a very creative theme for each tour, like a tour of something or a tour of
yeah.
of this or that. Like the the one that just went on right now was the Dope AF tour, and
Yeah.
it was a I'd like to say like the opposite of an homage to the doping era of cycling. So each
Right.
each team had, what is it, like it was team like what were the 4 teams or 3 teams, I think there only were.
It was, so this was a little before like I was really deeply into cycling. So like a lot of things I got great ideas from some of the collaborators that are around, like Al McWilliams and Cody and Dan Yankus and Colin Snyder. So they came up with the teams that were like the most notorious dopers, like in cycling's history. So those were the 4 that we choose, which was I guess Mape,
Oh yeah,
Mercado Uno, and I'm already forgetting I'm blanket Telecom.
yeah,
And I
okay,
think those are the only 3. We only had enough for 3 teams that time.
yeah. It's just,
But yeah, I've always wondered, and so we kind of keep coming up with interesting themes for each tour, and I guess that just gives everybody like a little kind of rallying point, or almost like a mascot for everybody to kind of rally around for those 4 weeks that we've got teams divided out. But yeah, that was the Dope AF. I think that was actually Steve Harris. We posted something up and he's like, "Oh, that is Dope AF." And we were like, "Well, that's the perfect name for a tour." So that's what it was.
that's funny. Yeah, and there's, I don't know, like Western theme tours, and I'm trying to think of what it was earlier. This
Yeah, this season we did the Need for Speed, which was like a Top Gun
oh yeah, Top
kind of
Gun. Yep.
fighter jet, and we experimented with one that was really short, right around the holidays, called the Roasted Chestnuts Tour, where it was just all like Christmas themed. So we had like the Bumpus Hounds was a team, and the Griswolds, and I already forget the other team. But that one we did we did like a time trial during the week, and then 2 back-to-back stages on Saturday and Sunday, and that was a lot of fun too for everybody that was there.
Yeah, that's that's great. And you you mentioned about when you first started this and how you had some connections with the dirt riders, or the dirt team, I guess, the Dads Inside Riding Trainers. I'm always blown away by like what I assume is a ton of work on the back end for you or whoever's like keeping the points all together and crunching the numbers and everything. And hopefully, I don't know if it's a system where it just kind of works itself out, but I'm also assuming there's a lot of back end work. Like the fact that there are actual events now, and it's going into Zwift Power and all of that kind of all those point keeping and power number keeping, whatever. Yeah, talk a little bit about the back end work of this and what that all involves.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely gotten easier than it was at the beginning, because there was not like I think I said in one of the earlier comments was, I mean, Zwift has kind of really advanced the way that they've made things usable for their end user. They've got a long way to go, but it's certainly been a lot easier than it was at the beginning. At the beginning, I was cut and pasting, the result page out of Zwift Power into a spreadsheet and trying to change the format of the numbers, and it wasn't fun. But it was the pandemic, so I had a lot more time on my hands for several months. But it's gradually, I've kind of kept getting to these doors of things that we needed to make it a little more easy on me to get the results done, or make it more, enticing or exciting for the riders. And I've kind of been surprised that each time we've just been able to walk right through the door, like getting things into Zwift Power, and now getting our own events that are kind of linked directly to Zwift headquarters in a lot of way, because we have an inside person there now. So the back end work is now a lot more just trying to come up with the best courses and the best kind of formats and the best schedule and calendar, and kind of then getting all that back out to getting all the results back out to everybody. So that it's a lot more just creative work now than the actual kind of crunching numbers. A lot of it still comes straight out of Zwift Power, and it can get exported out to Excel sheets, and we post some of just the Zwift Power results straight up. And but it's still enough where if I've got my laptop open at any time in my house, my wife now asks me is that for your real work or your fake work?
Yeah,
she's like, you should.
This I'm hearing you say this, and first off, like this league doesn't exist without someone like you putting in all this work, and it is a ton of work. I mean, and just kind of me racing on the periphery of it a little bit, I can see how much work you put into it.
Yeah.
And so it's like a part of this conversation I want is to, one, just because it's fun and I want to talk about it, but two, like I kind of want to encourage people that say that if they're not in Michigan, if they're somewhere else and they want to do something like this, and they have a bunch of like in real life riders, friends that, you know, they take a break in the winter, well, like create a league like this. But then also it's like, well, shit, it's like seems like a lot of work on like, how do you start something like this? I mean, how do you even I mean, so yes, it takes someone with a little bit of the know-how on the back end, and then just I guess enough passion to just keep it moving.
Yeah. Well, and I think to be able to be able to be connected with, fortunately, the right people to ask the right questions to, like Jason Stern, the founder of DIRT. Like I asked him that first winter after we had gotten through the pandemic, hey, can I get some specific events that are like private just for our DIRTy Mitten group? He's like, sure, here you go. Tell me what you need. And so it's kind of been that way all along, being fortunate to run into the right people too, like a lot of things in life. But it's also, you know, I don't have a lot of other hobbies. So, so this takes my time when the weather's bad, and probably keeps me mostly sane in the, you know, in the seasonal affective disorder season.
Well, and it certainly, I feel like, helps out others like myself. I mean, it gives people something to look forward to. You know, that normally on weekends when you'd go out and do a long ride on the nice weather, now you can look forward to a stupid race with and I mean that in the nicest way. Like
absolutely, yeah.
That's so cool. Oh man, I thought I had a couple other questions, but one thing I wanted to clarify is, if anyone doesn't know what Zwift Power is, they probably haven't listened this long into this conversation. But but Zwift Power is like it used to be a third-party website, but now I think Zwift controls it. But it kind of just takes all your data from when you race on Zwift, puts it into this your basic, like your athlete profile onto Zwift Power, and then you can see where you I don't know, line up against other people or against yourself. And I guess it's like kind of the result website of a lot of this racing.
Yeah, it is. So it's like kind of the result and the archives of everything that you've done and the people around you have done. And it's I'm despite everything I do, I'm really not a computer or mathematician kind of person, but it seems like an extraordinarily powerful tool that's probably still underutilized a little bit by Zwift. And that's some of the hope for the future, that becomes a much more kind of robust system, even beyond what it is now.
It gets a little confusing, I will say, because you have Zwift Power is fine, but you have all of these different places to pull results from, or pull, like, I mean, just, this is relatively new, I think, was that other Zwift ranking system.
Yeah.
And that was the first I've seen of it this year. And that was kind of its own thing. And I'm not sure, I mean, I know it's connected to how much you race and everything, but then that is apart from Zwift Power, which is odd to me. And then if you do any of the Zwift Racing League, well, there's a whole other thing of results on a different website over there. And it's like, well, why can't we have, or like, you know, your Zwift companion app will show you the results in that too. It's like, why can't we just have something in one central location? But yeah, whatever. It's just me complaining a little bit. But
that's the bane of kind of, especially all Zwift organizers, is trying to find the best place to get the most accurate kind of results and data. So yeah, that's all accurate.
Do you obsess about your own like indoor riding system, like your trainer and your setup? Are you pretty obsessive about that? I mean, you kind of seem like a little bit of an OCD guy. I mean, just I don't know if that's true or not, but you seem like a detailed person. So maybe detailed is a better way of saying it.
Yeah, detailed is good. Yeah, detailed is good. Yeah, no, that helps in my profession and doing this for sure. I do like my stuff to work right in my Zwift setup. So I'm pretty lucky. I've got a pretty smooth setup now. I've got a kicker bike and an Apple TV and a giant projector that projects it like life size onto a wall that's like 4 feet in front of me. I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. The one thing I don't like about that, I love Apple TV. I feel like it's so smooth. Like I never have any connectivity issues or, but the bike change is a real bear, man.
Yes.
It's like almost impossible. I think it was during the Need for Speed tour. I hooked up my laptop to race on so I could just do the key. So I had a keyboard so I could do the bike change, but I still messed it up anyways.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's exactly the downside. That's why you got to pick like whatever. There's like one setup where you can do like a canyon road bike and a canyon mountain bike, like side by side, and that's the only thing that works on Apple TV because they're right at the top of the list.
Yeah, exactly. Do you find that like, are you connected with more people in the state now? Like maybe other dudes that you probably maybe heard of their name or maybe not even have known them. I mean, I didn't know who you were, or I've never met you before, but now we're like connected through this. Are you noticing that? And like when you're at an Iceman or something, you're seeing more people that you recognize, or you're more connections?
Yeah, for sure. That's been I think whether it was consciously or not, that was part of what really drove this during the pandemic, was just feeling suddenly like you still need to be connected with the people you wanted to be connected with. And it kind of grew out from there. So yes, there's a much larger network of people that I know their names, I know their faces. I run into them at Iceman or Mud, Sweat and Beers, or, they're coming up to Traverse City for, the weekend, and they'll connect with me or somebody else from the DIRTy Mitten who they may have never, even met in person before. And so it's giving everybody kind of that outlet to have a lot more social connection, that kind of continues to build in the off season that maybe you only used to get on group rides on the weekends or at races.
Yeah. I think I like that. Like it builds during the off season, and the amount of conversations that are going on in the Discord chat or chats, a lot of them have nothing to do with Zwift whatsoever. It's talking about meeting up. There's people all over different parts of the state, so they're talking about, hey, let's meet up at Yankee Springs, or let's meet up at like Pato or something and ride, or or they're talking about different races during the season, in real life races and all that. So it definitely is. It's cool to see that community build. I hesitate to ask this, but is there like a sweet spot of people participating? And you want a lot of people, and it kind of ebbs and flows between the time of the season, and I can't see. I feel like it would be hard for one person to handle 500 people that want to be a part of this, or even if all 200 and some of the people that signed up for the Strava Club like decided to be a part of one of the tours. I would imagine that would be very difficult.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. I would, I think from just the setup and the data standpoint, like, I don't know that there's a big difference between 30 people riding and 200 people riding, as far as like who's going to be disappointed with their results, or like how something went down, or thought something wasn't cool or fair or whatever. obviously that'll be a lot more likely the bigger the group gets. The group that's kind of mostly involved now, I would say it's probably, 30 to 65 people, maybe, just as kind of the regular attenders. What's really cool is that, like, it's like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Like everybody knows somebody or each other. So it kind of keeps everybody, not that there would be anything, untoward, but keeps everybody honest. Everybody kind of knows everybody in real life. So, that guy's not going to go out. Anybody that knows me knows that if I show up in a ride and I put out, 4.5 watts per kilogram for the entire ride, that's not me. So, and I'll be the first one to call myself out, but kind of having a lot of that accountability, I think, helps. And I think you're right. That gets diluted probably the bigger that gets. The last race we did, the DIRTy Mitten Civil War, we had like 71 riders.
Oh yeah.
And that was a pretty nice number to have, because it was great racing. I think everybody had a pretty good time. The racing was just, it was fun, and there were groups everywhere. So probably right in there is about the sweet spot, kind of 60 to maybe 80, I would say.
Yeah, nice. Oh yeah, talk about that, because I raced in that. That was a cool idea, because it was just a one-off. It was after all these all the tours of the season, and then there was just a one-off one race on a Sunday, and you called it Civil War. And how did you separate the teams then?
Yeah, so that was again, like most of the unique ideas we've had came from somebody who just had an idea. That was Jesse Brennan's idea. He's like, hey, we should just race the South and see. Most of the guy, I think the way Cody wrote it in the recap was basically, you drew a line straight down I-75. If it went all the way to the border, it was east and west from there. So that was kind of the division. All you had to do was show up and tag your name with what region you were in, and we got results from that.
And it seemed like there was a little bit of chatter beforehand, and people trying to get maybe more involved in the race than would normally be. And the commitment level was less, because it's only a one-off. But
right.
But I think, I remember looking, and literally, like, where you drew that line, I was right. I think my house was in the green line. I'm like, it was like 127. I'm in East Lansing, but I just happened to be on the west side, and I'm like, oh man, the west side. Like, there's so many. So like, I'm like, who's riding on the west? Who's gonna be here? Then I'm looking. I'm like, oh, maybe we should get in contact with this guy and have him Zwift, or have this guy Zwift. And I feel like that was going on in each sector. So there was north, east, and west. That was it, right?
Yeah.
The three.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of like heavy recruitment going on, especially kind of in the middle of the week there, for maybe guys that don't normally race or have rarely done Zwift. And yeah, when Mike Rowe drew that line, I think if you zoom in, it's like drawing like right through the middle of Jackson. So it just didn't quite zoom out quite as well.
No, it was fun. It was a good time. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think my hope for that event was, especially because there was so much outreach, and pretty big handful of people that had never raced with us before, just hoping that they find that was fun, entertaining, and something they want to come back for next winter.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Like I said, I was excited to talk about this. I wanted to just thank you for the amount of work you put in, because it really helps myself and so many people get through the winter and get us to the outdoor season. So thank you for that. I look forward to next season, and thanks for chatting about Zwift. Yeah. I can't believe we're still chatting about Zwift this March 21st or whatever it is, 20th, but 21st. 20. I don't even know what it is. The 20th. Okay.
20th. Yeah.
But yeah, Brad, this is great. And again, yeah, thank you so much for all the work you put into it. You're like a humble servant of the DIRTy Mitten Racing League. Yes.
Yeah. That's if you could take one thing away, hopefully that's it. Yeah, dude, it's my pleasure. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It helps keep me sane. And I'm so happy to see the enjoyment that it gets other people. So, just makes them all a lot faster coming out of the winter than they used to be, which is problematic coming into the spring sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my one complaint.
Yeah, right.
I see some of these names that I'm like, oh, they're in my age group and all this, and
yeah,
they're riding pretty strong right now in February.
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of people that like didn't used to ride in the winter at all, and I used to be in much better position coming out of the winter than they were. Now it's even.
Well, that's all right. It's fun. So thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate it, Trevor. Thanks for the chat.
So when does the next season start?
So we typically go from we usually do 2 or 3 weeks after Iceman, kind of depending on how the weekends and holidays fall. So very, very late November, early December, and then we race through basically this time, kind of early to mid-March.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, yeah, man, super creative. I really dig what you do, and I don't know, it's just fun. It's so cool. So thank you.
Awesome.
I don't know how many people are gonna care about this. I mean, probably the people that race Zwift and
sure, yeah.
But it's whenever people talk about podcasts, they're like, just have conversations that you're interested in. So
yeah, right.
So screw it. I wanted to talk about it. So
awesome. Well, hey man, I appreciate the invitation and thinking of me.
Yeah, man, it was fun. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Cheers.
The Dirty Chain Podcast is a Michigan Midpack Media production in partnership with KOM Cycling, the source for your bike accessories and necessities. Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Dirty Chain Podcast. Email dirtychainpodcast@gmail.com. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. Audio editing and original music by myself, Trevor Gibney. A huge thank you to Brad Hochstetler for joining me on this podcast, and thank you all for listening to the Dirty Chain Podcast. And as always, keep your chain clean, but get your chain dirty. We will see you in the midpack.